Tonight on Size Eyes on the Skies.
We've had some rain, or we've had some snowflakes earlier today, and we'll have some rain coming up. I'll have timing later in the show.
Plus, Caleb has your national forecast, all that more on this Thursday, March 7th edition of Size Eyes on the Skies, starting right now.
Live from Studio 171 in Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Meteorology Department team of meteorologists brings you the latest weather from around the country and out your front door. Iowa State's longest-running television program and the only live weather broadcast on campus starts right now. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
Welcome back to Size Eyes. I'm now joined by Benji. As you had mentioned earlier, you saw some snowflakes going outside
I did.
today.
They were like one of the biggest snowflakes I've ever seen. They were flying.
They were massive. It was nice to pack. I was throwing some snowballs at a few of my classmates after.
Oh, good.
Studying
good
a little bit. Yeah, you know, got to lighten the load a little bit. It's stressful. We got a dynamics exam tomorrow, so
yeah, I got it. Got to lighten the load somehow.
Yeah, and you mentioned some rain possible. When
we got some rain
this?
This weekend on Saturday, so I'll have a timing coming up later. But it has been.
It's currently today's highs. We have about 20s throughout the state of Iowa, and then we have a couple 30s even later in the week. And our lows have been somewhere around the 20s, and I'll have more coming up later in the show.
Thank you, Benji. Hopefully warmer conditions can continue. But on this day in the year 2000, very warm March weather across Iowa, unfortunately not something we see today, resulted in Mason City and Spencer each setting day high temperatures records on 5 consecutive days from March 4th to the 8th. Most locations around the state were experiencing daytime temperatures around 20 degrees above normal during this span. The warmest temperatures were recorded the 7th, when afternoon highs include 77 degrees in Spencer. Des Moines saw 79, and Mason City saw right around 80 degrees. Muskogee and Muscatine both saw 81, and as well as Mount Pleasant. And now here's Caleb with a look around what's going on around the nation.
Thank you, Garrett. Winter seems to have a firm grasp on us, but where is spring? I'll have your answer coming up.
Welcome back, and now here's Caleb with possibly when we're going to be seeing spring.
Thanks, Garrett. I'm not going to take 5 minutes today, so start the timer right now, my forecast. But as we start here in the Midwest, we have 23 in Des Moines. Generally, we're in the upper teens towards the northern high plains, in the mid-30s, a little bit above freezing as you go further towards the south in Kansas and Missouri. So we migrate to the northeast. We have 15 in Augusta, a single digit of 7 in Caribou, and 39 in the nation's capital. So we can still see that it's a little bit more mild on the east coast as we head towards Canada in the interior sections of the northeast. That's where we start to feel the chill still with this winter air. Right now in the southeast, we have 69 in Miami, 53 in Jacksonville, and 65 in Tampa. Very good weather for spring training baseball. I'll be there pretty soon to see some games. But again, as we go towards the north, Huntsville and Nashville in the upper 40s to lower 50s up there in the Dixie South. We have 68 in Albuquerque, 44 in Denver, and 63 over in Bakersfield, California. So again, pretty mild along the west coast. Los Angeles actually has some reports of thunder a couple days ago. They average less than 10 days with a thunderstorm per year. So that's a very rare event way out there in LA. And in the northwest, we have 22 degrees in Billings, 35 in Missoula, and a little bit warmer in Boise at 46 degrees, with the 40s along the Pacific Northwest coast as well. Current analysis shows the lingering remnants of the snow shower that we had here in Iowa earlier this morning, dumped a couple inches across the southern tier of Iowa, is slowly migrating towards the southeast through Champaign, Illinois, central Illinois, and further towards the east coast. We're seeing some winter precipitation around Denver, a slight mix of rain and snow around there, causing some winter storm warnings. And we're seeing California still looking pretty wet out on the west coast tonight. And let's zoom in on that California storm. We see that as the atmospheric river really starts to migrate from the southwest towards the northeast. It hits the Sierra Nevada mountains. We're seeing a lot of rain on the windward side and a lot of snow at the higher elevations. So this is between just south of San Francisco and a fair amount north of Los Angeles there. But California's been pretty wet this winter. It's good to build that snowpack out there as they'll head into the drier months pretty soon. The current hazard map here, we have some winter weather advisories lingering with that snow shower through the middle of Illinois, southern Indiana, heading into the mid-Atlantic and the Appalachian Mountains. We have some winter storm watches posted all the way across the northern tier. Sioux Falls, South Dakota is in there, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the lower tier of North Dakota, as well as some winter storm warnings over in Denver. Shout out to Colorado State and Fort Collins, just north of Denver there. And we're seeing some gale warnings across the southwest coast with those high winds coming ashore towards the California area. The future radar shows we have this rainstorm heading through the southeast with the light snow mixing in on the north side as we head through the day tomorrow. But the big story is going to be this cyclone genesis, this big low pressure system that's going to form across Kansas Saturday, bring a lot of warmer air. Iowa should actually be above freezing for once on Saturday, and we're going to see a large area covered with pretty intense rainfall with blizzard conditions possible across northern North Dakota and South Dakota and western Minnesota. But it looks like Iowa should remain on the warm side of the system for most of the event. That's going to be a big storm with heavy wind impacts, strong winds, so stay tuned to your local TV and your National Weather Service office for the latest forecast changes. On Friday, with the severe weather outlook, we have a marginal chance of severe weather, the lowest category, 1 out of 5 on the scale, for some isolated small hail and damaging wind gusts there. But as we go into Saturday and Sunday, that chance really starts to increase with the severe potential. Tornadoes will be possible as we head into the weekend across much of the same area that had that deadly tornado outbreak last week across the deep south. So we want to make sure you stay tuned for those updates as the weekend progresses. And our extended forecast is still in Orlando, Florida. Why leave it when it looks so nice, right, from Tuesday? So Friday here in Orlando, we have 79 degrees. We head all the way into the mid to upper 80s throughout much of the next 7 days with lows in the mid 60s and not much rain in sight.
Thank you, Caleb. Hopefully we can bring some of those temperatures up north. But let's take a look at tonight's trivia question. In what manner does atmospheric pressure change with height? Part B to this question, what pressure is typically around 5,500 meters? Is it A, logarithmic decrease around 400 millibars, B, constant increase or 777 millibars, C, exponential decrease around 500 millibars, or is it D, 1 over height at 245 millibars? There's a lot of technical meteorology questions here. I don't expect most of you guys to get this one right, so don't worry about it. But before we get too much into the dynamics of stuff, we'll have Benji take a look at the week ahead.
Thanks for that question, Garrett. We will get some rain and snow this weekend from that big low pressure system that Caleb just mentioned. We're almost back to normal with our temperatures, and do not forget to change your clocks on Saturday, and I'll have your weather coming up for the weekend in just a few moments. Welcome back to Size Eyes. I'm future meteorologist Benji Wyberg. So, like I mentioned, we are having that rain and snow this weekend, which will bring our temperatures higher and back to normal. So, currently in Ames, it is 22 degrees with an easterly wind for about 10 miles an hour, with clear skies. So, like I mentioned, we have 20s throughout for a majority of the state, with a couple high teens up in northern Minnesota, 18 in Mason City. Satellite and radar, you do see that snow that we had coming earlier this year, or earlier today, not this year. The clouds are starting to dissipate throughout the day. Futurecast, we do have clearing skies for tomorrow, but here is that rain coming on Saturday. By Saturday morning, it will be raining for a majority of the state of Iowa. And as we continue on, it does continue to rain, and even some snow up in northern Iowa and even into Minnesota, where they're having the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament right now. As the rain moves out. So here's our estimated rainfall that we are having. So barely a tenth of an inch, about a trace before Saturday. But here's when the real rain comes in, all the way from Sioux City's already at a little over a tenth of an inch Saturday morning. But here, as we continue on, we are expecting over an inch of rain here in Ames and Des Moines, but only a half an inch up in Decorah. But you can really see where the main part of, or where the strongest part of the rain is going to fall is right here in central Iowa. But for tonight, it is 20 degrees with a calmer wind, 20 degrees, partly cloudy tonight. Tomorrow, 33 degrees that is not correct, chance of snow. It should be pretty clear tomorrow with a calmer wind. But into next week, we do have that Friday is 33, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. You do want to change your clocks with the rain and snow that day with 30s throughout the week, and even a 48 on Wednesday.
Looks fairly wet in the forecast, Benji, but unfortunately our trivia question is not so. And actually, in what manner does the atmosphere pressure change with height? The other half to that is, what pressure is typically found around 5,500 meters? Is it A, logarithmic decrease, or for the second half there, 400 millibars, B, in constant increase, or around 777 millibars, there we go. Exponential decrease, or at around 500 millibars, or is it D, 1 over height, at 245 millibars?
Well, we got to decide first, does pressure increase or decrease as you go up in the atmosphere?
It decreases.
Decreases, right. So you have less air above you, put some weight on you, right. So that can rule out B. It's not going to increase anytime soon.
Exactly.
Do you think that?
Well, I know that around 5,400 meters, that's usually the freezing line for our 500 millibars. So I'd assume that it would be somewhere, so I'm going to go with C just because the 500 millibars is close to the 5,400, or usually 5,400 is a freezing line, but 5,500 is pretty close, so I'm going to go with C because the 500 millibars.
It's an exponential decrease. So
exponential decrease.
Pressure goes down pretty fast with height. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, I'd probably go with C as well. It's a great explanation with that one. And there you go. It is. Good job.
The expertise of Benji Wyberg.
Learning
Very
it
good
from-
future meteorologist. Yes.
Learning from Dave Foy right now in Meteorology 301.
Unfortunately, that 540 line is going to stay north a little bit. That's going to allow us to have rain. But with it still being in Iowa, I mean, that could still cause some possible issues with ice, possibly.
I'm not predicting too much ice in this storm. Not as much as we've had in the past couple weeks, which have been just miserable for driving conditions. I think this will be a little bit better, but still not amazing.
It looks like the winds will really start to increase though throughout the weekend. So I know, especially southern Minnesota, where you're from, Minneapolis, South Dakota, North Dakota, it looks like potential blizzard up there again.
Yeah, that's the day the winds are going to be the worst in the next week. So.
Right, Saturday night to Sunday. Hopefully we're on the warm side though. It'll be kind of a nice change to see some rain instead of snow.
Yeah.
Fortunately, some of that rain might get rid of some of that snow too. So
maybe. We'll have to watch the
away
flooding
a little bit.
potential as well, especially if you get over 1 inch of rain. That's a lot with all the current snowpack on the surface.
You know how Ames handles rain, especially when it's over an inch. Now, well, if you're here over the summer.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to your forecast, so hopefully it pans out.
Yeah,
those temperatures in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
No more wind chill, negative 45 degrees.
I don't see that anytime soon.
No more of that. I hope no more of that. I'm ready for spring. It's March.
Yeah,
and
Caleb says
ahead.
it's ready for baseball season. He's going down.
I am. I'm
Florida.
really ready. Yeah.
Clocks are springing ahead. It's meteorological spring already. It needs to be spring.
The sunset will be later after this weekend, right? But I think the sunrise is later as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up tonight's show. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can find every show on YouTube under our Size channel. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.